One thing I wanted to say about this next poet factoid, John Witte, is on this table here in the middle, there are books by all the different people, various old things, some new, some used, and there's a book by John Witte from, what is it? I was going to say 1984, but is it 1978? 1978, there's a book of his that he inscribed to John Hayslip, who was the first Oregon Poet Laureate, way back. So, and then John passed, and we got his books, and I just found that on our shelf here. It's a wonderful young, that was young John Witte. Now we have strong John Witte. John Witte grew up in New England, the son of Polish immigrants. His poems have appeared widely in publications such as The New Yorker, Paris Review, Kenyon Review, and the American Poetry Review, and been included in the Norton Introduction to Literature. He is the author of Loving the Days, Wesleyan University Press, 1978, The Hurtling, Kirkus Press, 2005, Second Nature, University of Washington Press, 2008, Disquiet, University of Washington Press, 2015, and All That Matters Now, Link House Press, 2022. For 30 years, he was editor of the Northwest Review, the recipient of 2 fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts. He taught eco poetry and other subjects at the University of Oregon in Eugene, where he lives on the outskirts of town with his family. Let's hear it for John Witte here.
So my misfortune to have to follow Jorah. But somebody's got to follow her, right? I actually bought, knowing that she was going to embarrass me, I brought a poem. I don't think I'm going to read it, but I was thinking I need some kind of transition, right? So I have probably the sexiest poem that I've ever written. But instead, I want to share something else. I learned recently that someone someone who's read here many times, Clem Stark, is about to end his life. He is in hospice, and he has chosen to die with dignity, and which he is going to do in about a week. And so I thought it was appropriate to glance over at Clem. If anyone wants to get in touch with him, he's got his phone. He's answering his phone and so on. So this is Clem, an invitation. Friends, if you'll stop by sometime, I'll take off this serious face. We'll smoke and get into some blackberry wine. This year's batch is just right. My old neighbor, the moon, will climb out of the hills, happy to join us. Yard lights, a mile away in the valley, will be no closer than the nearest star. Half lit ourselves, we'll sit on the veranda, telling preposterous stories like the one that begins, long ago on this planet there was a man, an ordinary man. A country place is quiet at night. In the woods, sometimes an owl or coyotes. Upstairs, one of the kids must be having a dream. So, you never know when it's going to hit you, right? It's like, I was a really lousy reader as a kid. I had a really hard time learning to read. Why is that? I don't know. I'm a really, really slow reader, for one thing, and it was kind of a relief to learn that people, evidently about half of people read with their eyes. They're very fast readers, have good comprehension. Half of them read with their ears, right? And they read at the pace at which they would speak, which is pretty slow, right? If you're looking at, Crime and Punishment or something, like forget it. So anyway, I thought I would address this, and that's what this poem is about, called Leaves. The book lay open on your desk like a block of wood, words worming on the page. Something was wrong with your eyes. You joined the slumberers and dumb hooligans after school and read the large type aloud. The teacher sighed, but it wasn't all bad, was it? The October you gathered and identified the leaves of 12 trees, showing the variety of their shape and color, bloody, buttery, bronze. Of this you could be sure you knew the grammar of trees, the forest, your escape from the dangerous labyrinth of home. You earned a gold star. Maybe there was hope for you after all. Yet here you are, still stammering, buffeted by the autumn splendor, arranging fallen leaves on the page. I remember one after-school session where we were reading aloud, embarrassing in any case, and I came to the word determined, and I pronounced it Dieter-minded. I mean, look at it. That's what it says, Dieter-minded. And of course, I was humiliated, right? Everybody laughed. My mom was a great reader, and I guess somehow imparted her love of words to me. But near the end of her life, she was succumbing to dementia, and so it became harder for her to remember from the beginning of a chapter, let's say, to the end, what was happening. And then from the beginning of a page to the end of the page, and finally from the beginning of a sentence to the end of the sentence. You get what's going on? So this is about her. It's called Oh Well. Then the words began to swim on the page. My mother stopped reading. It was too much, too many characters coming and going. Who were these people anyway? And how had she become entangled in their lives? And why won't Nora just tell him? And did Jason need to be so nasty? Oh, well, life goes on. The telephone rings in the foyer, in the novel. She found herself reading the same page over and over. The characters returned, complete strangers, like her son. She cannot remember the child he was, lost in the prairie grass, growing darker. She was awake, the book a weight in her lap, like a plate of food. Oh, well, there were worse things to lose than stories. Her mind, for example, being swept away from shore, unable to swim, her voice too faint to be heard. She closes the book, wind rippling in waves over the field. So I selected poems from the new book, All That Matters Now. People always ask me, why the watermelon? Watermelon. It's just a watermelon. It's cool. It's really more about the clouds. There are a lot of clouds in this book. But I've tried to select poems about books and reading and give it kind of cohesion. And so this is about reading a newspaper. And it describes an event, some of you may remember, a horrible event, some years back, 4 or 5 years ago, in Springfield. So this will recall that event called the news. The crossing at 54th and Main is especially wide. I'm sorry, I'm going to start that again. The crossing at 54th and Main is wide, especially for 3 children and their mother, saying, "Let's go, kids, stay together." While on the same page, a whale tangled in several hundred feet of heavy rope is floundering. Our bodies are floppy and fragile, and the truck runs the light in the grainy picture, a makeshift memorial on the pavement, balloons, flowers, and stuffed animals, while they try using long poles with blades attached to cut the ropes and free the whale. And even though their father collapses when he hears, and the driver must be hurting bad, what stays with us is the endless ocean and the gasping whale. Kafka, what do you need to know? Kafka, I was fascinated to learn that the word Kafka actually means jackdaw. A jackdaw is a crow, a European crow. And if you know Kafka, that's fitting, a fitting kind of an animal totem. He was a Jew. That's important to know, of course, in the poem. He lived in Prague in the 30s. Kafka chewing everything 45 times for health. He has the faraway look of someone chewing his food, breaking down the potatoes and pogroms, the insurance agency, his bread job, the loss of fingers and limbs, chewing his meaty German tongue, his Yiddish chewing, the jackdaw, a crow-like bird capable of imitating human speech, like a child who, despite our efforts to make him stop, eats hair, clay, and ashes, or grass. Even grass has nutrients if it's all he has to eat. He has to eat the prog his loved ones are fleeing, or worse yet, remaining. His teeth and jaws ache, his loneliness and violent ejaculations. I have hardly anything in common with myself. He grinds and gnashes, he shifts the bolus to his other cheek, and goes on chewing, feeling it soften, the bitter pulp he winces and swallows. And one last poem, I guess a sort of paradoxical poem, because it's about how language fails us, how language is really inadequate. Although Jorah argues otherwise and demonstrates otherwise, and helps restore my belief in language. So it's called simply poetry. Not words again, a hydraulic crunching and creaking of words. Just this pearly light on the waves. What else can we say? The dawn light gleaming on the waves. Not this blunt fixation of words, not sublime or unforgettable, but fleeting. The light gleaming, as I said, the waves rolling toward us over the ocean. Can we be quiet now? Can we go back and start again before words? The waves lifting and breaking, unspoken, their glory, their glory.